Jacksonville, another team with poor cap space, and they have to figure out what to do with some important players, especially at tight end. So what do you do with Evan Ingram? Because their top 3 tight ends are all free agents. But Ingram's the big one. He got the 1-year show me deal, and he did his part. He's not an elite tight end, but we know how much Doug Peterson values the position. So as long as I guess he doesn't ask for some crazy contract, you got to try to bring him back. So, but again, when you're $20 million under the cap, Jacksonville's got to, they got to make some room.
Yeah. If I'm Evan Ingram, I don't want to leave, and if that means I have to give a little bit of a discount to stay with Trevor Lawrence, who I think is on the brink of becoming the next one in the NFL. I think he's this close. I think it's going to be Burrow and Mahomes at the top of the league for a while. I think they're going to be the next Brady Manning. But that tier right underneath them, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, if we believe in him yet, I think that Lawrence is going to be in that tier next year. And if I'm Evan Ingram, who just got done playing in the hell of New York with the Giants, all right, he's got to stay. But if they don't get him back for whatever reason, the agent gets greedy, or maybe Jacksonville doesn't want him back, that turns into the biggest need on the team.
And does that turn into our boy from Utah?
Could be Kincaid, or that could be where Meyer ends up too. Peterson, the profile of a tight end, I was surprised last year that he went after Ingram, because the Peterson profile at tight end has a little bit more size and physical presence.
So more like Meyer then.
Right, exactly. That's where I think Meyer probably fits their mold a little bit better.
Okay.
But also, don't forget about on this offense, they have Calvin Ridley coming back next year at receiver.
Good point.
So you're just, he's going to be raw, he's going to be rusty, but if he gets back to 90% of what he was, we're talking about a pretty deep passing game that if you want to give a little at tight end to bring in a body like Meyer or even Darnell Washington, don't sleep on him. It improves the running game and improves some of the issues that they've had on the offensive line.
Which is still something they're going to have to figure out, because Taylor is now a free agent. So whether or not, some team is going to pay him that the Jags aren't going to afford. Sure. So that means you've got to upgrade at both. Well, look, they did draft Little a couple years ago. So
Little will be the guy there.
Yeah, so you'll have Little and Cam Robinson. And then they
just don't have any depth.
And now you need depth. So you need that number 3 tackle, but you definitely also need to upgrade left guard. And you need to get a little younger at guard too, because if you take a look at Brandon Scherf, it's starting to kind of,
it is.
You're going to need his eventual. So definitely offensive line to me right now on offense is still their primary need.
Yeah. If you can cross off tight end for now, I'm big on get the line first. So, you could make the argument that the offensive line does need to be fixed before tight end. But like I said, Brandon Scherf, he's a name that sometimes people have it programmed in their head from 4 years ago when he was an all-pro that this guy's a stud. He's no longer that stud. So now you're talking about 2 guards playing on either side of a center that I was not impressed with this year. That, we've seen at Tampa Bay that if you're not strong in the middle of the line, it's going to ruin your passing game. And if you're truly going to support Trevor Lawrence and truly catapult him to being an elite quarterback, that group's got to be better.
So no matter what, then, what you would think then, based on this evaluation, is that if they were going to use a first-round pick on the offensive line, it should be a guard.
Yeah, or it could even be a tackle convert.
Who could that be?
There's a few of them. A tackle that converts to guard. He's not a first-rounder, but I love Cody Mauch from North Dakota State. Keep an eye on him at the Senior Bowl next year. No, that's a guy that I think could be
the Senior Bowl next year.
Sorry, next week. Yeah. Keep an eye on him next week. Yeah. He's a tackle at North Dakota State. I think he's someone that comes in and plays guard and could play early on in his career. There's even a couple of tackles that I'm grading on the brink of round 1, round 2 Where the Jacksonville's picking around 1 might be a little rich, that I think I see a guard skill set in. Jalen Duncan from Maryland, who got roasted in pass protection this past year, but people still like him because there are movement traits and size traits that scream NFL. He does have enough quality tape to be projected as a starter at the next level.
First round?
And it would be rich. I would probably call it a reach if he's being picked at this spot. But if they find themselves trading back or wanting to trade up to the top of the second round, it'd be a great spot for him to go. Jalen Duncan, and sit behind those guys for a year or two and compete for a starting job maybe towards the end of the year.
All right, well, straight up guard. Who's the top guard prospect? And how many guards do you think might get drafted in the first round?
Just one. I mean, I think there's one interior guy that goes in round 1. It's Osiris Torrance from Florida, the big meaty guy from Florida.
No, where about in the first round?
I would say I would start it right around 24, 25. Jacksonville.
A local kid.
The Giants, yes. Keep him down in Florida.
Yeah, even though he came from Louisiana, right?
Louisiana, yeah.
But still, 1 year in Jacksonville, and then he stays in Jacksonville.
Yeah, why not?
All right, that's interesting. Defensively, they've got a couple of free agents on the defensive line, the backups, Peters and Gotsis. Furakasi hasn't really worked out so well for some reason since he's been there, so that's an issue. So defensive line, I would put that as like a top need on defense, and then safety because I think they should cut Jenkins because Jenkins is 2 more years. 15-5 combined, 7-5 and 8, and his dead space is only 4 and 2. Mm-hmm. He's overrated. They need the cap space. There you go. You re-sign Wingard, and you put him in with Cisco, and then maybe you draft another safety.
I like that. I like that move. I think Cisco's a stud. I think he's going to be a very good pro. Got off to a little bit of a slow start. I say that because I'm just impatient. But this year he started to show what he can be. And Wingard is a perfect complement to his play style. And I agree. I love the approach of going after safety a little bit later in the draft. The defensive line definitely needs work, like you said. I love Davon Hamilton in the middle. Yeah. But the 2 ends and their 3-4 front, the D tackles, they were just put on ice skates against the run. Their run defense was bad.
Well, look, I don't know exactly how Fatukasi is working into this defense because maybe that's the reason why he's not playing well. With the Jets, he was just nose tackle. I'm here to stop the run. That's all I'm here for. So if they're moving him around on the defensive line, maybe that's part of the reason he isn't playing all that well. Maybe he's out of position.
It could be. It absolutely could be. And, does that automatically make this team cut him loose and just say, hey, you're not a fit? Or do they do what the Giants did? They switched up where they put Dexter Lawrence alignment-wise, and he becomes a second-team All-Pro.
Yeah, put him where he belonged. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll see.
So we'll see there. Yeah, I think they definitely need some more help on the defensive line because that division, if you can't stop the run, it's going to make life difficult.
True. And also, edge rushers, they do have to re-sign 2 guys, Smoot and Key. Key had a nice year, so he kind of played well there. So they could use another edge guy unless they re-sign the veterans. I can't imagine those guys are going to cost much. But, look, they're expecting a breakout, of course, from Javon Walker. To go along with Josh Allen. So it's not like they're jonesing for edge rushers. But they need some depth.
You're right.
So.
Yep, need some depth. Yep.
All right, that's Jacksonville.